it's Reija, and welcome to another Top 5 Wednesday. If you're new to Top 5 Wednesdays, I'll leave the link to the Goodreads group down in the description. This week's topic is our favorite non-written books. So, I'm just gonna talk about comics today, okay? Let's get started. Though, if I'm being completely honest, I don't know what's actually non-written about comics, but they said I could talk about comics, so yeah, let's just roll with it. First, I have here Berserk or Sing No Evil by J.P. Ahonen and K.P. Alare. This book has an English translation out, and I'm going to leave the link to the artist's shop. So if you want to purchase it afterwards, you can. This book is kind of like a horror comedy, sort of. It tells the story about up-and-coming kind of indie black metal band, and they get mixed up in some sort of mystical battle against evil, and all kinds of hijinks go from there. And it's really good. The art is fantastic. J.P. Ahonen really knows what he's doing. I'll show you a few pages here. Look at that. That is some really nice contrast and use of color. And it only gets better from here. Here's another one. This is kind of a dream sequence, sort of, that happens in the middle of the book. It's not really a spoiler if you haven't read it, but it'll just give you a little bit of a taste for what's in here. So definitely go check it out. Next, I have another favorite comic of mine, Skydoes by Alessandro Barbucci and Barbara Canepa. This is an amazing comic, and I'm really thirsty and salty for the sequel that has been promised for years, and it's on the horizon somewhere that it will come out sooner. This is a sci-fi story that's set in a fictional galaxy somewhere far, far away, and the main character is an android called Noah, and the androids in this universe are basically servants. They're slaves that don't have any rights, and Noah gets tangled with a couple of bounty hunters and gets swept up in this adventure where she needs to find out who she really is and whether she has a real consciousness and she's something more than a regular Skydoes. And this book has amazing art and the story is really good. It is kind of a mix between soft erotica and regular old sci-fi, and it's really good. I'll show you a few pages so you can see what I'm talking about here. So here we have one scene, and as you can see, the use of color is really vibrant and pastel, and the character designs are very witchy. If you've ever read the Disney comic Witch, you'll know that the artist behind this comic book actually designed all the characters for that franchise. And thirdly, I want to talk about Berserk by Kentaro Miura, which is one of my all-time favorite manga series. It is really gory, really dark, really kind of gothic horror, set in the fictional medieval times. It follows the story of a character called Guts, who swings around a huge sword and has a really dark past and is seeking revenge against a person who wronged him and wronged his friends. And this story has been ongoing for so many years. I started reading it when I was in high school, I think, and that was, over 10 years ago, like really over 10 years ago, like more like 15 years ago. And there's no end in sight, and I really kind of, it's kind of weird because it is a really well written story, but I kind of want to see the end before I pass away or before the author passes away. Here's to hoping that eventually I will see how the story ends, and I'm kind of hoping that it will end in a positive note, because the whole story has been very, very dark with little bits and pieces of light in between. I'm really hoping that the story will end in a high note rather than all the characters perishing in horrible, different, creative ways. Next up is Full Metal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa, and I kind of think that this series is kind of like baby's first Berserk, in a way, because it deals with some really heavy shit. It has human experiments, it has war crimes, religious genocide, like everything. And it has child soldiers, alchemy, and everything is really fantastically told, and the art style is really good. Like, it's very simplistic, but at the same time it really like holds its own. Hiromu Arakawa has a very distinct style of drawing her characters, and she also relies heavily on certain character tropes that she likes to repurpose in all of her series. Like, some of the characters in Full Metal Alchemist reappear in different forms in Silver Spoon, her next series. And this is probably my favorite manga right now, as I'm recording this. This is my favorite. I have reread the series a bunch of times. I have rewatched the anime a bunch of times. I'm really digging it. I really love it. And if you want to support the author, you can find these books in Book Depository and also through Wiz Publishing. So give them a go. And lastly, I have Bright Story by Kaoru Mori. And this series is amazing. I always hear people talking about Emma, the other series by Kaoru Mori, but I actually think that Bright Story is a much better series. It is set in the Silk Road, like between Russia and Mongolia and those countries during the late 19th century. Tells the stories of different brides on the Silk Road. So there's a lot of like Orthodox and Muslim influences to this books, and they're very well researched. Kaoru Mori has a really keen eye for historical details, and the art is amazing. Kaoru Mori is a masterful artist. I'll show you a few pictures. Here is one of the covers for a chapter in the first volume, and just look at all that detail. She has hand-drawn and inked everything in this splash page, and it is amazing. And here is another one. You can see the detail during the main character's wedding. This is the wedding dress, and every little detail here is hand-drawn except for this texture on the veil here. And Bright Story currently has about 8 volumes out. It is being published by Del Rey, and these editions are really nice quality hardcovers with a dust jacket on, and they're really good. I'd say that if you have read Emma and enjoyed it, definitely give this one a go, because this is by far more detailed and has even more interesting characters and tells the story of a culture and a part of history that not many people generally know much about. So consider giving this series a shot. I'll give it my seal of approval. And those have been my top 5 non-written novels. And if you have some of your favorite comics to share, please leave a comment down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!